There's a lot of students who struggle with test anxiety, where they freeze up when they're taking a test. And that's so frustrating because they often put a lot of effort into preparing. So why does that happen? Well, there can be several reasons kids freeze when taking tests. One is fear of failure. Some kids just put too much pressure on themselves, right? Or there can be too much pressure from parents. Sometimes we as parents can put too much pressure on our kids. The other one is lack of preparation, which, the good news about this is easy to overcome. It's just spend more time preparing. But we've all been in situations where we've gone to a test and know oh man, I didn't put the effort into studying that I should have, which causes stress. Third, past negative experiences with test taking, where maybe they've run out of time in the past, or maybe they've had moments where they've completely forgotten the content they've studied in the past, and they're thinking about those past negative experiences and then assuming it's going to happen again. What's tough about that is that can sort of become a self-fulfilling prophecy, oh my gosh, it's going to happen again, and they're so self-conscious of that they can't get out of their own head in taking a test. So it's what's at the root of this? Obviously there's emotional drivers to this, but a lot of times test anxiety can be rooted in poor test taking skills, which are often rooted in low cognitive skills in certain areas. So I'll just give you three quick ones. If long-term memory is low, the child is going to have the dynamic where you study for the test, get into the test, and then can't remember. Can't picture where it was on the page or can't recall the information. And that just is so stressful because the clock's ticking and they can't recall it and they can't bring that information to mind on the test. Low or slow processing speed is very common as driving test anxiety because what's happening is the clock is ticking and they can't get their brain to work fast enough to be able to get through the test. And then it becomes really stressful when they see their peers standing up and turning their paper in, they're not, they're halfway done or something. So that causes anxiety. It also can cause kids, for example, to rush through tests. So it's not uncommon for kids with low processing speed to get done with their test way before everybody else. And it's just because they know this has happened in the past, don't want it to happen again. So they basically just rush through everything and obviously aren't giving it the attention it needs. And they did poorly on the test, but at least they're not seen as being the last one. And then the third would be logic and reasoning being low. Kids are trying to problem solve and are struggling with how to work through a problem or understand the directions, which obviously causes a lot of stress because if you don't comprehend what's being asked of you, that's kind of a non-starter and you just know you're going to perform poorly. So the good news is that you can strengthen skills like long-term memory processing and reasoning, which then flows into stronger test taking and stronger academic performance.